Hi, I'm Courtney McQuade with Markets Group here at our private wealth event in Sydney, Australia. With me is Tim Rocks, Chief Investment Officer for Evans and Partners. Tim, it's great to see you.
You too.
So you just came off a panel session taking a look at the macro market. Tell me a little bit about what some of the key highlights were that people were talking about.
Well, it's certainly a very interesting time for the macro generally. There is a lot of debate about whether we are at a turning point for a broad range of economies, actually, China, US, and Australia. So I think a lot of people have come to this conference to gain some perspective on whether that's true or not. Our own view is a much more mundane one that's been in markets. We don't think much has changed at all, really, over the past month or so. If anything, our view is that global economic risks have faded a little over the past year. Inflation's been removed as a risk. I think the Chinese economy has stabilised a little. There's still an active debate on the US, so that is the one where people are still, perhaps concerns have been raised a bit more recently. But in our view, that's a bit overdone too. I mean, there has been a little bit of weak data, but the broader picture is of an economy that might be a little bit uneven and is probably in transition, but is not one where a recession is likely. And when I say it's in transition, I think, if you look back at the last 20 years, it's been all about the consumer. But going forward, the next 10 years, I think will be quite remarkable because you have this big reshaping of the US economy underway in terms of clean energy, big infrastructure spend encouraged by Biden, semiconductor plants, AI spending is enormous. Yeah, and that reshoring thing. So all of that's going on, and I think all those things are a solid support to the economy and just make it so much more difficult, I think, for a recession to occur.
That's interesting. And what are you thinking? Will there be any impact based on the U.S. election coming up in November?
I do think that risk is probably overstated for two reasons. Number one, the Harris-Trump result will be closer, and that probably means that even if Trump does win, he won't have as great a control over Congress, and that means there'll be a greater check on what he's kind of able to do. But more broadly, I actually think a lot of the debate is a lot of rhetoric, and there actually isn't a material difference in major macro settings that's going to occur under both. So I do think that risk is overstated in terms of the economics.
Interesting. And here in Australia, what are some of the things that are top of mind with your clients?
Top of mind, I think generally our clients are much more concerned about the outlook than actually we think they should be. Many of our clients, we run a private wealth business. Many of our clients actually have their own businesses. They run their own shops, so they are fronting the economy, and they are seeing things definitely still being a challenge, particularly those that are consumer facing. So they bring that mindset into their portfolio, and as I say, they want to be cautious, they want to be careful. So we actually spend a lot of our time with clients, calming them down, perhaps talking them off a ledge, and also making those general points about portfolio that it's a long-term game. The best way to deal with any risk is diversification. Just talking them through that issues. But I must say, generally the client base is conservative to the point of kind of pretty bearish on where things are.
Well, it sounds like you're positioning their portfolios the right way.
We're telling them, as I said, to be sensible. We've actually spent a lot of time talking to clients about increasing their weight to credit kind of assets that have a different risk profile to equities. But given where interest rates are, they offer a much greater return than they've offered over the past 20 years or so. So that's a nice kind of balance between risk and reward, we think.
Fantastic. And Tim, how are you enjoying the event so far?
Oh, it's amazing. The Crown is an amazing place. I haven't been here before. You've got the harbour. You've got a nice day. It's great.
Fantastic. Well, we're so glad to have you here, Tim. Thanks so much.
My pleasure. Thank you.
and we're live at our Sydney Private Wealth event.